Hey guys, today we're going to take a look into the passive and active voice. Now, the reason for doing this is I've been covering it in my class, and so I noticed some people are struggling a little bit with the activity that I've given you, so I kind of want to walk you through and give you a little bit of extra help in terms of what is the difference between these two voices, between passive and active, because both of them are perfectly fine ways of writing sentences. And the more advanced that you get into grammar and the more that you start getting higher in the grades, the more that you might be looking at some of these different ideas of active and passive voice. So for the very beginner, just starting out to looking at this more advanced topic, I want you just to be able to really tell the difference between what is active and what is passive, because things like this will start coming up depending, again, how far you go with certain subjects. But classes like law class, you're going to be dealing a lot with things that are in the passive voice. You're going to have to get used to kind of reading things that are in the passive voice. Law tends to really like this type of sentence structure, whereas, some more of your other classes, such as English class for sure, will tend to like the active voice. Several classes in the humanities, and by the humanities I mean your history, geography, like the sociology, psychology, all of those are in what we call the humanities. Humanities tends to like active voice, not always, but tends to, because it's a little bit more direct, and you'll see why when we start kind of discussing what the two voices are. But I just want to show you that there is a place for both of these types of voices, especially in English class, depending on what you're going to be looking at. Right? Things like writing essays, or maybe some older pieces or more complex pieces of literature might have things like passive voice in it. So really this is meant to be a little bit of an introduction to get you comfortable with what these two voices sound like, and just to help you to identify really what these two voices are. So think of this very much as an introduction video to this more advanced grammar topic. So let's kind of take a peek at these two. Okay, so your active voice. Active voice is the one that you're probably the most used to reading and to listening to, and to really to speak. We tend to like the active voice a lot, because it's very, very clear. Now, I did look up some, I think, kind of complicated definition. I didn't quite like it, but I couldn't find one that I really did like. But let's take a look at it. So it's right here. Active voice is a sentence that has a subject that acts upon its verb. Okay, so I try to break it down a little bit more, to right here. So the subject, so the person or the place or the thing really, is doing something, right? That's the verb, to something, which is the object. So that might be a little bit complicated. Let me color code this to kind of help you see it just a little bit better. So let's do the subject, right? And then we're going to do the something or the verb. And then we're going to do, what's a nice color? Let's do blue. To something or the object. So that way you can kind of see in my examples sort of what the color looks like of the active voice sentence. So if we take a look at the first one right here, Sally ate cheese. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger, because it's a short sentence. I try to keep these kind of short and sweet. Let me just get these highlighters in order so that I have them available. Beautiful. Okay, so in this sentence, Sally ate cheese, the subject is the person in this case, right? We have Sally. She is the thing that is doing something. So what is she doing? To eat, past tense, ate. So she ate something, right? That's the thing that she's doing. And what is she doing that to? Well, she's eating the cheese. Let me make that a bit bigger. She's eating the cheese. So you can kind of see the color code of this system. It's something that, we have discussed a lot in class. I've discussed in other YouTube videos about, what this looks like. Subject, verb, object is, how I say that our sentences typically go. And with this more advanced grammar subject, we're going to see some things sort of flipping around. But let's take a look at one last example before I flip things on their head. The cheese is good. Okay. The reason I wanted to show this to you is because A, all of my examples revolve around cheese. I love cheese. And B, we have a different kind of verb here, right? So this is kind of just a nice quick recap. So the subject here, the cheese is good. What is the subject? The cheese, right? So the cheese is the thing that is going to be doing something. Now, when we're talking about our verb in terms of doing something, it can also be that sort of state of being. So don't forget about your state of being verbs. And your state of being is our to be, I am, you are, he, she, is, and to have, right? I have, he has, so forth. So those are also, our verbs. So it's not necessarily that it is doing something, it can also be something, which I know can be a little bit complicated. If you want more of a breakdown of the difference between an action verb and a state of being, S-T-A-T, of being verb, let me know, email me, write it down in a comment section, message me on Teams. If you're one of my students, let me know and I can make a video about the kind of differences between those, because you do need to know the difference between an action and a state of being verb. So in our sentence back here, the cheese is good, our verb is, right? The cheese has an inherent quality, it is just being. And then we kind of get to, not so much the object, but, the definer right there. So what I like to call the rest of the sentence. And I can make videos if you want to know what exactly the rest of the sentence is. But for right now, let's just kind of generalize that into the rest of the sentence. So I just kind of wanted to show you the color scheme of these sort of active voice sentences. Okay, so let's go on to the passive voice, because active voice is what you're used to seeing. The passive voice, again, a nice long kind of definition here, but a passive voice is a sentence where the subject is the recipient of the verb's action. Okay, so the sentence kind of gets flipped on its head a little bit. So the subject isn't really part of the sentence. It can be. So let me make that in there. It can be, but it doesn't really need to be part of the sentence. So, those things that I told you earlier don't always apply for passive sentences. So let's take a look at a couple of these sentences, right? Because they're a little strange. So let me make this a little bit bigger. So again, we're going to do kind of that yellow is our subject, and then green is our verb, and then blue is the rest of the sentence. I can get into more grammar terms. I haven't really taught you guys what that means, but just for the sake of seeing the colors, let's just call it the rest of the sentence. Okay, so the cheese was eaten. So, we kind of take the person out of the sentence. What do I mean by this? So we have our verb, right? To be eaten, but we don't have the actor of the sentence. We have sort of like what was eaten, but we don't really have who. Sorry, let me get back to my pen. Here we go. We don't really have who ate the cheese. I could say the cheese was eaten by the teacher. Okay, and that would be kind of like our subject, because I could flip this around and make it into an active voice. So to flip it around, and I just want to show you this really quickly, I would say the teacher ate the cheese. Right? So same idea here. We have the teacher who is doing the action and the rest of the sentence. So do you see how this kind of gets flipped around a little bit? Now, you also notice that we don't really need to know who did the action, right? We didn't need to know that the cheese was eaten by the teacher. So I'm trying to make that, there we go. We don't need to know that the cheese was eaten by the teacher. We could just know that the cheese was eaten, right? And this is where we kind of really get into those famous examples with law and passive voice. The contract was broken. Well, who broke the contract? We don't know. So the blame is not being placed there because we don't know who or what is doing the action. The contract was broken because, or I could say the contract was broken, this is a bit of a strange sentence, but by the extreme winds breaking the telephone pole. Right? So it could be by a thing too, not just by a person, because I showed you the first one was a bit of a person. So you could kind of have some very strange long sentences, but we're intentionally taking the blame away from somebody or something. So if I'm taking a look at that one example, let me just get rid of that kind of end. The contract was broken, right? Was broken is our verb. It's our complete verb. And if you don't know what I mean by complete verb, go back and kind of review some of your more, intermediate or advanced basic, more of your advanced basic grammar, because, there are many different verbs. And if you're not sure about the verbs, just ask me for a video about all types of English verbs. Right? And then I'll kind of let you know what all the different types of English verbs are. But, so we have our complete verb. That's me trying to erase. We have our complete verb right there, was broken. We know what was broken. It was a contract, but we don't really know by whom the contract was broken. So again, we're sort of missing that yellow bit to the sentence. And again, I'm kind of oversimplifying the by Ben. I'm kind of oversimplifying this idea of like what the different colors are. And those of you who are in kind of more advanced grammar, let me roll with this because I think it's an easy way of breaking down the different colors to show you, how the sentences are being rearranged. So same thing. Our third example right here, the video game was defeated. Where is our verb here? Was defeated. Okay, was defeated is our verb. What was defeated? The video game. By who? Who defeated the video game? We could say by Ken. But we don't need it. It is completely fine. All of these sentences do not need this yellow part. We could have completely fine sentences just with that blue and that green part. And they're completely fine sentences. So, what I taught you before about what a sentence is, we're kind of getting into more advanced. This is sort of in that 20% where I said like 80% of the time grammar will follow this rule. Think of the passive as kind of being that like little exception towards that subject, verb, object structure as much. If that doesn't make sense, just understand that, there's active and there's passive, and they're both great types of sentences. There are more advanced sentences. So like I said, today what I want you to do is I want you to just to be able to identify if a sentence is passive or if a sentence is active. Okay? This is very much the start of this more advanced grammar topic. So let's take a look at some examples together now. Okay? I'm going to give you a sentence, and your job will be to figure out if it's active or passive. Okay, that's all I want to know. Is the sentence active or is it passive? Now, we're going to go through a couple of them. And if you want to, and only if you want to, give yourself a mark out of 10 to see how you did. I will have 10 examples. So, if you want to see kind of where you're at, but really just gauge to see how you feel about these. Okay? This is not a be-all and end-all. Don't let this score define you. This is very much we're getting used to this topic together. Okay, so the first one, Anna kicked the soccer ball. So you're going to tell me if it is active or if it is passive. Anna kicked the soccer ball. Do you have your answer? Okay, so this one right here is active. We know this because we have our person, Anna. She is doing something. She kicked, and what did she kick? The soccer ball. Okay, so nice, very basic but very clear active sentence. All right, ready for number 2? Let's keep going. The window was broken by the baseball. Is this an active sentence or a passive sentence? Ready? This one right here, passive. If we take a look at this one, right, we have this window, and what is happening to the window? What is the ultimate end of this sentence? The window's broken, right? Okay, but what did the action? Did the window just break itself? No. There was a... Oh my goodness. I'm just going to leave it. There was a baseball being thrown, right, through the window. This is the inside of the house. That's the outside. Okay, so the baseball ball went through the window got broken, right? So if we're taking a look at that, in terms of that is the actor of the sentence, that's the thing doing the action, where is that in the sentence? Over here, right? By the baseball. Now, a big key of knowing passive sentences is if you do have the person or thing that is doing the action, it'll be at the end of the sentence and I'll have this by word written there. Okay? So what is our verb? Our verb was broken. And what is the thing that was broken? The window. Getting the hang of this? I'm going a little slower for our first ones, but let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, the goat was scared by the loud noise. The goat was scared by the loud noise. Is this active or is this passive? Ready? This one right here is passive. Again, we're going to see this by word right here. So when we see that, that'll be like a nice little tip off that, hey, maybe this sentence is passive. I should take a closer look at it, right? Not necessarily that it always is, but I should take a closer look at it. So again, let's take a look at this scenario. We have our goat. Let's give him his big floppy ears and his horns. This is my goat. All right. So our goat right there. Maybe not the exclamation mark inside his face. Our goat is being scared, right? So that's the thing that's happening, but what is scaring the goat? Well, the loud noises. So the loud noise is making, that loud noise, which is impacting the goat. So if we know that the goat was scared by the loud noise is the one doing the action. It's being loud, right? And then we have our verb. Our verb is what? Was scared. Okay. And then we have what was being scared, which is the goat. Okay, so this one's our passive one. All right, let's take a look at number 4. The grammar lesson was loved by the students. Because I know you're all loving this. Is this active or is this passive? Ready? If not, you can always pause the video too and take a little bit more time and look at the sentence. So, I might be moving a little bit quicker, but, pause where you need to. So number 4, the grammar sentence was loved by the students. This one is passive. Okay? And our thing doing the action, right? The students. What are the students doing? They are loving. What are they loving? The grammar lesson. All right, on to number 5. The school taught grammar. The school taught grammar. Is this one active? Or is this one passive? Ready? This one right here is active. because the thing or the person doing the action is the school. What is the school doing? The school is teaching. We have it in the past tense here, so to teach. I teach today, I taught yesterday. And what are they teaching? They're teaching grammar. Okay, so the school is doing the active thing. All right, let's take a look at number 6. My homework is done. My homework is done. Is this one active or passive? Now I'm hoping that you're, taking a moment, maybe pausing the video here and scratching your head at this one. Okay, I'm trying to make these a little bit trickier by using maybe some verb tenses that are different, or, just some different sentences. So I'm hoping these are starting to trick you a little bit. Or not trick you, make you think. All right, are you ready for this one? This one is passive. Okay, because if we take a look at it, we have homework right here, right? So we have our homework. Now, can homework do itself? Have you ever tried that? Have you ever put your homework aside and, you sat there and you thought, well, it'll just do itself. What happens in the morning? Is it usually done? Probably not. If homework is done, who did the homework? Because the homework can't do itself. You do it, right? There has to be a person behind that pencil to do the homework, or behind the keyboard, or what have you. So if I were to take this sentence, my homework is done, and I were to turn it, or I could complete the sentence. Sorry, this is one of those tricky ones where you have to complete it. So my homework is done by me. Okay, and then we could take this and we can actually flip it on its head and we can make it into an active voice. So if we were to do that, I could say, because I'm going to put the person or the actor in front, did my homework. Okay, and right there, that would be an example of an active sentence, rather than my homework is done, or my homework is done by me. Starting to make sense? Okay, last one of this type, and then we're going to switch up the questions a little bit for the last 3. Number 7, he recited a poem. He recited a poem. Is this one active, or is this one passive? Active or passive? Are you ready? This one's active, right? Because we have the actor at the front. He's doing something. What did he do? He recited, which means to say or to speak out. And what did he recite? He recited a poem, right? So we have our nice, beautiful, active sentence right here. If I were to turn this into passive, I could say a poem was recited. Okay. I could say a poem was recited today. A poem was recited today in class. I still don't have who recited the poem. Was it a student? Was it a teacher? I have no idea. But a poem was recited today in class. So beautiful passive sentence right there. All right, so hopefully you're getting the hang of these. And let's take a look at something maybe just a little bit more complex, but I think you guys can do it. We can do it. Okay, so we're going to switch it up. I am going to give you 3 sentences, right? We're going to do 3 because we're up to 7, and I want to get you guys to 10. And they're all going to be in the passive voice. Now I want you to try to change them to being active sentences. This means that you may need to pause the video a little bit more, have a pen and paper handy to kind of help you out. You could also try to, speak them out and see how you do. But, let's give this a try at changing these sentences around. Okay? So let's continue on down here. So, a cake was made. Okay, so this one right here is passive. We know that. Now I want you to pause the video and I want you to try to turn this into an active sentence. Keep in mind right now we're missing we're missing the actor. The cake was made by who? Or by whom? By whom? Sorry, sometimes even I need to take a moment and remember a bit difference between who and whom. Okay, so the cake was made. Did you make a sentence? All right, let's go. So I need an actor first. Let me get a name, a regular, easy name, Bob. Bob made a cake. Beautiful active sentence. So it should be something along these lines. You could always throw it to the comments section below and just say, my number 8 answer is this, and I could take a look at it. Or you can email it to me if you're one of my students. You guys know how to get in touch with me. So, Bob made a cake. Or you could say, I made a cake. But give me your active sentences, but it should be something like this, right? We should have that kind of actor very clearly at the front. All right, number 9. The novel was read by Mom in one day. Okay, so again, this is a passive sentence that I want you to make into an active sentence. We have our actor right here, Mom. So we're going to rearrange this sentence so that Mom's at the front. So pause the video here. Make sure you make your sentence. Ready? Okay. So, I'm going to put Mom at the front. Mom. What did Mom do? Read. What did she read? A novel. How long did she take? In one day. Mom read a novel in one day. Okay? This one right here would be an example of her active sentence. Again, you can, leave it in the comments section, email it to me. If you email it to me and you are one of my students, just tell me that it's this video that you're watching, because if I get an email with 3 sentences, I won't know what you're talking about. So say these are my answers for the active and passive video, or just leave it in the comments section down below if you're comfortable with that, and I can kind of take a look at it there. Last one, number 10. The letters will be delivered. Do we have our actor for this sentence? No, we do not. Okay, so you're going to have to tell me how or who they are being delivered by. So pause the video, write your sentence down. Ready? Okay, so who or what? I will deliver the letters. Okay, he will deliver the letters. The postman will deliver the letters. Frank will deliver the letters. Okay, so this should look something a little bit like this. Again, number 10, leave it down, email it to me, write it in Teams, what have you. You guys know how to contact me. If you don't, then, write it down in the comments section that you don't know how to contact me if you are one of my students, and I'll reach out to you. I have all your contact information. Okay, so lastly, how did you guys do? Did you find this easy, difficult? Look at your final score if you were keeping track. Are you happy with the results? Did you get a score that you felt comfortable with? I'm not going to define what success looks like for you. This is a very tricky topic, and maybe right now, having a couple right and being able to make a sentence from passive to active is, a big win for you, or maybe, you want to get them all right. So define what it means for you, and are you happy with the results? But be kind to yourself. Remember, this is a tricky topic. If you're struggling with it, that's okay. If you want more examples and more videos like this, let me know. I can only help you guys with where I'm starting to see things that you might need help with from submissions. But I can't tell kind of what's going through your mind. So, just email me or leave me a comment or a message to say, I'm stuck on, I don't know how to do. Could you give me an example of, right? All of those, I am so happy to receive those, because I'm sort of making these videos a little bit blind. So let me know what you want help with. So you could say, I'd like help with, or could you make a video of, because I know all of our sleep schedules are very different right now, and I'm hoping that these videos are helpful to you. And, just one last thing to know about this kind of grammar topic, there's nothing wrong with the passive voice. Some teachers might say never write in it. There's a time and place for it. Like I said, some subjects like law especially will have a lot of passive voice in it. And it's really just a trick of knowing when to use it and knowing when it's being used just a little bit too much. And when active might be a little bit more clear and concise. So anyways, that's the end of this video. again, let me know, what do you need help with? What examples would you like to see? Anything like that. Okay. So I hope you guys are staying well, and I'm loving to see the submissions that you're giving me. Keep it up. You guys are awesome, and try to get outside today because sunshine and fresh air is always a good idea. All right. Bye.